Hi guys, and welcome to episode one of hashtag Through a Different Lens. On this first episode, I'm going to be speaking about where it all begun, my journey, how it started, how it all begun, signs, sort of just from a little bit of information from the very beginning, and I hope you like the content. Anyway, I have muscular dystrophy, and I was born with it. I didn't have no signs when I was born that I had muscular dystrophy. There was no signs at all that I was a healthy birth. I was a healthy weight. I was overdue, not premature or nothing like that. But I started walking at 9 months old, and my parents and family started to notice that there was signs that there was something wrong, and so the doctor said just keep an eye on it. It's just things that kids do. So I got to around 5, and I was referred to the hospital, and the doctors said that I had tight tendons. That's why I walked on my tiptoes constantly, and so they suggested an operation to lengthen my tendons, and hopefully everything would be perfect. So I had the operation. I was in plaster cast for 8 weeks. I had a few issues with scars healing, but other than that, there was nothing too serious, except I was left with a constant foot drop. So that is when, say that's the say that's the foot, it drops like that, and I couldn't lift it up like that. It was constant, gone. No way of possibly lifting it up by myself. So they said that was just a complication. It happens, but if it didn't die down over the years, then I would have to have another operation again to lengthen the tendons once more. So in between that time, they didn't do no testing on blood or anything like that. No signs that I had anything else wrong with me. The doctors decided to do another operation at 10. It didn't work. It made my foot drop even worse. Then they started testing my blood to see if there was any reason why my muscles were so weak and why they weren't healing. Straight away, I was sent to Great Ormond Street Hospital. There was abnormalities in my blood, and there was nothing that they could do for me anymore. So after leaving me pretty much fucked up from 2 operations that weren't really needed, I was sent to Great Ormond Street Hospital, one of the best hospitals in the world. Like, I couldn't fault it at all. They saved my life. If I hadn't gone there, I probably wouldn't be the person that I am today. The support and the care that I got from that hospital was amazing. Absolutely amazing. The doctors, the nurses, everyone there, amazing. And my doctor, who was a neurologist called Dr. DeVille, was absolutely lovely. Honestly, she done so much for me. And she started to test my blood. She had a few inklings that there was something wrong, but she wasn't certain. She'd obviously seen this sort of stuff before, so she kept me quite calm, telling me that everything will be sorted out and that it doesn't matter what they find out, that I'll be well looked after, which was quite reassuring. At 14, she discovered that I had a 70-degree curve in my spine, which was pushing on my left lung and my heart. I'd never really noticed it. I mean, a few weeks before that diagnosis, I'd literally been playing football for the college, running about, and yeah, I had these problems, but I was a normal kid. I joined in with absolutely everything. Like, there was nothing that I wouldn't do. Like, I was so desperate to fit in and to be normal that, yeah, I was playing football, I was out with my friends, I was running and my little run, because obviously my feet were absolutely fucked from the operation from before. And yeah, they told me that I was going to have a serious operation and that it had a lot of complications. And they were going to put a rod and 6 screws into my spine to correct it. And to be honest, they told me that it would be quite a quick healing process. They didn't tell me much. I was a kid, I was 14. Told my parents. My parents sat me down, told me that I was going to need this operation, but reassured me that I'd get through it. So 2 weeks later, I was in London, in Great Ormond Street Hospital, having my spine corrected. I don't really remember much about that time because after the operation, I was ill, like a different level ill. My left lung had collapsed. It had a chest draining, but my left lung had collapsed. The pain was excruciating. I'd never been through pain like that in my life. I had morphine pump. In the end, they gave me ketamine, which obviously made me trip out and made me hallucinate. But I was out of it for weeks. The pain was just a different level. I'll say it now, even how many years later, it was the worst thing I've probably ever gone through in my life medically. And it was, honestly, it changed my life. I went into that theatre, a young girl, being able to play with her friends, play football for the college, I had a normal life. Even though I wasn't normal, I had a normal life. That operation changed everything. I had a stroke, my whole left side had gone completely. I couldn't do anything. And I spent pretty much the next 2 years in and out of Great Ormond Street Hospital, months on end, trying to rehabilitate and get myself back to the person that I was before I had that operation. And I never got that person back. Like, that person never came back. I was in serious pain on a daily basis. I was in a bed in my mum's living room on morphine, just a kid, just crying, just in pain that I've probably never ever experienced in my life. Obviously, the people around me didn't know what to do. They'd never seen me like that. Yeah, I'd had operations before, but I got through it. They were a walk in the park compared to the scoliosis. That's what it's called, curvature of the spine. It's quite typical in people with muscular dystrophy that they more than likely get scoliosis. And yeah, I spent 2 years rehabilitating, and I never got the ability to run back. But a good 3 or 4 years it took for me to be able to walk on my own and to be able to have a little bit of normality back. Like it took a long time. It was hard, but I got through it. And I think that the reason why they didn't know how bad that it was going to affect me is because they didn't know the type of muscular dystrophy that I had. Back then, it was very, right, you've got muscular dystrophy, but that's what it is. Like, there's no more genetic tests. There was no more names out there. There was no prognosis of what the future was going to be. There was none of that. They didn't know how it was going to affect my future. They didn't know when I was going to die, if it was going to kill me. They didn't know if it was going to put me in a wheelchair by 20, 25, 30. They could not answer one single question for me because they had no answers themselves. They were one of the best hospitals, I would say, in the world, and they did not have the resources to find out what type of muscular dystrophy that I had. Over the years, there was talks of maybe sending my muscle to different universities and finding out, but no, there wasn't There wasn't any way to find out. So I pretty much lived the rest of them years just having good days, bad days, deteriorating over a period of years. Whoever I was 1 year, the amount of muscle loss that I lost in that year, I would lose it every year. So it started in my ankles and my legs. Obviously, I had scoliosis in my back. Then my hands. It starts closing my hands. So it's in my arms, my hands. It's in my shoulders. It's in my neck. It's pretty much everywhere. And there isn't anything they can do. Which I know that. I knew that from the beginning. It doesn't matter that now I've got a diagnosis, which I will get into, but I knew they wouldn't be able to do anything for it. But it wasn't until I moved to Newcastle in 2017 that things really started getting going, to be honest with you. Like, I was under hospitals, but they didn't know what to do with me. And every year I'd go for a checkup, or if I was in and out of pain clinics, I'd spend a couple of weeks here and there throughout the year in hospital, trying to get the pain that I was in under control. I've been on morphine patches. I've been on MST, which is a 24-hour release morphine, along with oral morph, which is the liquid type of morphine. I've been on the gabapentins, amitriptylines, pregabalin, which is what I'm on now. That's for nerves, to try and, because I get, like, from the back operation, I lost any feeling in my left side. And in my left leg, from my hip downwards, I would get burning and stinging all down my leg. And sometimes it would feel like someone's pouring a kettle of boiling hot water down my leg. Or there's like little spiders crawling all over you. Even though there isn't. Right? But yeah, it wasn't until I came to Newcastle that I finally started getting some answers. I didn't get them straight away, but I knew that these people could give me a diagnosis which could then put my mind at ease, because all of these years everything's been possibilities and maybes and like potentially, and it just, that's not what I wanted to be told. I wanted a definite answer. I wanted to know what the future was going to bring. Like, living with that sort of stress every single day, it was draining. Like, it was affecting my mental health, it was affecting my life, my relationships with people, it was affecting everything, and there was nothing that I could do about it because I did not have that definite diagnosis. Something that I needed closure, because without that closure, I was lost. Like, that's the only way that I can explain it. So I obviously moved to Newcastle in 2017, and it just so happened that fate brought me here, and I ended up literally a 5-minute drive from the place that I was supposed to visit 10 years previous. The Centre for Life had been mentioned, but it was up in Newcastle and I was in London, so obviously it's a hell of a long way away, and circumstances I just never ever got round to going. I sort of lived my life putting my disability at the back of my mind, even though it was at the forefront of my mind because it's there every single day. I lived my teens upwards and in my early 20s. I lived my life. Like, I didn't let it hold me back at all, because I didn't want to be that person that's in the wheelchair. I didn't, like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I didn't want this. Nobody wants this. And I never got round to coming to the Centre for Life to see these doctors. So 10 years on, fate brought me to Newcastle and I ended up 5-minute drive from there. So, yep, I was referred there from the Newcastle RVI hospital, and I met these amazing neurologists. Like, I can't even begin. They're professors. Like, these people travel all over the world to try and find out things about rare diseases. Like, they've only got a handful of people that they treat, and I was one of them, and I felt so lucky. Like, I honestly felt as soon as I see these people that they knew what they were doing. Their end prognosis was they wanted to give me a name for this muscular dystrophy. They wanted to give me a diagnosis, a solid diagnosis, so that I could move forward with proper treatment. There was talks in them in that first appointment that it could possibly, because the main thing, yeah, it affects the muscles in the whole body, but there wasn't any definite answer if it was going to affect the main organs, like the lungs, the heart, the liver, all of the organs. Like, it affects my neck and it affects my gums, like my teeth. Uh, there's nothing that I can do about that. It affects the muscles around the main organs, and I didn't know if it was going to affect my heart or my lungs. It was just a possibility. And then finally, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got the diagnosis that I've been needing my whole life. I could not, however sad I felt inside, knowing what was wrong with me, finally having a name to put to it was, I can't even begin to tell you the feelings that I felt. I felt numb, first of all, like, wow, like, these people have actually took pieces of my muscle and they've tested my blood and they've managed to give me a diagnosis in the space of 3 or 4 years. Like, this is some ground-breaking shit. Like, these doctors, they are amazing. I can't even begin to thank them enough for everything that they've done for me in 3 or 4 years. Like, this shit that they've done is, it's some fucking genetic shit. I'm telling you, like, some genetic testing on blood, muscles, and then looking at it under microscopes, and it's crazy shit. Things that probably me and you could never ever comprehend. But this doctor, yeah, these doctors, they found out what was wrong with me, and probably why, all over the years, operations I've had, they've opened me up and found the muscle just dead, black. And that was because I had the MHY7 gene connected to the muscular dystrophy, which the MHY7 muscular dystrophy affects all of the skeletal muscles, all of them. And it also affects the heart muscle, and it affects the lungs and other things. I've had some symptoms lately of there's possibly something wrong with my heart, so this diagnosis sort of it's put everything into perspective. Like, now I know why I've been feeling the way that I feel. I felt so relieved that I finally had a name to it. And then obviously, I've never Googled anything my whole life. Like, I've just lived. Like, I've gone off what the doctors have said. I've never looked shit up on Google or anything like that because I never knew what to look up. I never knew what it was. And so this time, though, I looked it up, didn't I? And some of it was scary. Like, obviously, when it affects the heart muscle, it can prevent the heart from functioning properly. They gave me some news as well that they wanted me to start using an electric wheelchair around the house. And that's something that I've wanted to put off for so long. Like, I had one when I was in London. I had a wheelchair to get around the house, an electric one. And when I came to Newcastle, I didn't want it. Like, I didn't. I used a manual one, and then I got a scooter, which made me feel more independent. Like, I didn't need to rely on people to push me, or I didn't need to, like... This is like I'm saying I'm embarrassed to be disabled, but it's not like that. It's like I'm insecure in myself. Like, I didn't want this disability, and it doesn't matter how many years I have had it, it will never get easier. ever. It doesn't matter that I'm used to it. Oh, sorry, don't know what happened there. Something went wrong with the computer. But yeah, I'll never get used to it. Never. Like, it's not something that I will get used to. It's something that, with every day, new symptoms come. It is literally daily. I notice something that I've lost, whether it will be hand movement or how far I can turn my neck or just small little things that to me are huge. Like, they're huge. And I will never ever come to terms with this. I don't think I will. Like, most people, they can say that, yeah, I knew what was wrong with me and I got on with it and I dealt with it because I had no other option. Well, I could probably start looking at it a different way, but I haven't. I'm not in that headspace yet. Because every single year I find out some new shit and it's like I've got to get my head around that. Or every week I lose a part of myself or day and it's like, wow, I've got to get over that now. So it's easy to say, oh, get on with it. Like, you was born like this. This is just how you've got to live now. Well, no, like, I refuse. I will still fight, like, till my very last breath, to walk, to talk, to not take high doses of pain meds, to live a normal life. And everybody says, oh, what's normal? Well, to me, normal is being able to walk. That is it. Being able to walk to the taxi outside. Be able to go in a supermarket and reach up to the shelf and be able to get what I want. Or to be able to go down the street and be able to cross the road without having to fuck about with curbs and stuff that the council haven't even sorted out over a period of years of people being disabled. They still think it's good to have curbs on either side of the road. It's like, that sort of shit I have to overcome on a daily basis. That's not something I'm ever going to be able to get my head around. And I try every day to be strong, and I try every day to fight for a normal life. And yeah, it's hard, but I won't ever stop fighting. Like, I don't like it, but I won't ever stop fighting because that's not in me. Like, I'm not the sort of person that just gives up. Like, however much I want to sometimes, I know deep down I never will, because that's just not who I am. I weren't built like that. Like, my nan always taught me to be strong and to fight and to never give up, and that's exactly what I intend to do till my very last breath. Like, I want a normal life. I want a family. I want to get married and be happy, and I want to have kids one day. Like, I want the normal path that a normal person could have, despite being in a wheelchair, despite my illness, despite having a disability. Because I might have a disability, but it doesn't define me. It doesn't, that's not who I am. That's not just who I am. I'm not just disabled. I'm Gemma, and I'm a strong, confident young woman, and I will get these things that I want in my life. I will. Because there is no other alternative for me. None. Like, however much mental health takes over my life sometimes because of my illness, I won't ever stop fighting because that's not who I am. Part of this thing that I wanted to do was to get word out there, not to give up. Yeah, you've got a disability, but fight it. Like, don't give up. Like, make your imperfections perfections, like, because that is who you are. That's your personality. That's what sets you apart from everyone. Like, that's literally it. Like, you are unique. That's what I have to tell myself every single day, is that I'm unique. There is not even a percentage of people out there with my disability. Out of all of the people in the world, I was given this. And yeah, I've hated 30 years of it, but it's made me who I am. I would not be the person I am today without it. I could, hand on heart, I wouldn't be the person I am. If I didn't have this illness, I would not be even half as strong as I am. And I don't feel strong sometimes. Sometimes I feel weak and I feel low, and I feel like that I can't fight another day. But I look at my partner and my family and my friends, and I look at myself and I think of how far I've come and what I've been through and things that I've fought through. And I did not fight through all of that to just give up. No way. No way on this earth. I wanted to share my journey with you all to try and get, to try and bring a little bit of, what's the word? A bit of, completely, I've lost the word, but a bit of like, so people can see what it's like being in my shoes. Like, you hear about it, but you don't see it. Like, I want to video hospital appointments, my day-to-day life. I will be doing episodes every week. I will be talking about mental health with disabilities. I'll be talking about accessibility in supermarkets, the streets, community support for people in the community. I will be talking about more about my life, more about rare genetic diseases, how there isn't enough research and resources out there for people like me, how the government need to be putting more money into mental health services. The more people that have support in this community, the more people we will have healthy and strong. And right now there isn't enough funding for important subjects, and that's what I wanted to shout about. Literally, I wanted to shout about things like that. I wanted to show you my journey from now. 3 weeks ago, I got the MHY7 diagnosis, which is it's to do with genetics. It's basically through my DNA, and I want to bring more people into my life to see what it's like on a daily basis living with something so rare. Because when you live with something that's rare, you don't know what your day's going to be like. You don't know what your week's going to be like. And that's what I wanted to show through doing this. My whole life, it's like I've been looking at life through a different lens to everybody else. And that's the whole point of hashtag through a different lens. I want to shout about it. I want to make change. I want to get help for people in the community. I want to write to MPs. I want to get councils to be doing what they should be doing. Like, I want people to start helping disabled people instead of making them feel like an outcast. All of this stuff that I'm going to be asking for is stuff that should already be there. Supermarkets should already have something in place to help people feel more independent in a wheelchair. Not having to ask people for help, because that is what affects our mental health. That is what affects how we feel about ourselves. And just that word again, independence, like, that is huge for somebody like me. Huge. And I want to bring a bit of independence to other people in my situation. And I know it's not going to be easy, and I know it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take me a long time to get my story out there and to get people to make change, but I know that I can do it. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a hell of a long time now, and I never ever ever had the guts to do it and to speak about this, because people look at me and they go, oh, she's just got a bad back, she's just got bad legs. Well, you've just heard my story, and this is just a small part of it. And I'm not going to stop here. I will make change. Like, I want to leave this earth knowing that I've done something good. Like, something that I can feel proud of. And that's the whole point of this journey. Is so that I've got something to feel proud of. So that I've got a purpose. Because I could easily let this diagnosis and let everything take over me. But I'm not gonna. I can't. I can't give up. Like I said before, I just can't. So I just wanted to wrap things up now and say thank you so much for listening. And I will be releasing an episode every week. It will be on my YouTube. If you could please follow my Instagram, hashtag through a different lens. And that's all one word, not the sign, hashtag, the word. And follow me on TikTok, Dynamic Media 25, and Twitter, Gemma Walker, hashtag through a lens. Honestly, thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me, and please follow me on my journey because it's going to be a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but I can promise you now you won't be bored. Love you all.